All right. Welcome back to This Podcast Takes Tokens. I'm Deric with my brother Ryan, and we're here with our cold open question for the episode. Or, no, sorry, icebreaker question for the episode. Icebreaker question. We don't want any nasty comments or anything from anybody. No,
He was right.
He was right. He was right.
Yeah.
It's a icebreaker. Yes, because we were breaking the ice with this question that I asked you at the end of the last episode. So what makes a good sequel? So for you, what would you say makes a good sequel?
So what makes a good sequel to me is where it sticks to what made the original good,
Okay.
and then it just adds a little extra, just elevates it a little bit, giving you just a little bit more of what was good, or something just a little bit different, but is better than what you had in the first one.
Yeah, that's different for all movies or games or music or whatever you're sequeling. That's different for each of them for sure. But yeah, I would agree. It's some combination of staying true to what worked with the original while building on it, and making the fans happy.
Yep.
Without being too obvious about one or the other. I think you can also we talked about it after the last episode ended. You can have a good sequel that is just fine. It's serviceable and it does the job, but it's missing something. And we talked about that with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and how Tears of the Kingdom just kind of felt like an extension of Breath of the Wild. And while that on paper satisfies everything we talked about with what makes a good sequel, it just wasn't satisfying. It was missing something, and it just ended up feeling like too much like the same thing again, if that makes sense to our audience. And I feel like that's the trap that a lot of these sequels fall into, is they try and give you too much of what they gave you before, and they get, I don't want to say lazy, but they rest on the laurels of what worked in the original, and they don't innovate. They don't change. They don't iterate. They don't, improve while staying true. And I think that's it. Just making improvements while staying true. If you want to make it in the simplest form, improve but stay true.
And I think you're right. Like there's also the extreme difference where it's like,
it's true.
They make too many changes.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? This isn't even, near what I was watching or playing or whatever, in the original. So I don't know.
Yeah. But sometimes that
I'm
works.
trying to think of an example off the top of my head right now, and I can't, but I know that I've seen examples like that.
Yeah, man, but sometimes that works. Like you go to the extreme, or you go, in a completely different direction, or you shake it up just enough. But if there's enough time between the original and the sequel, I feel like you almost have to do that. You can't do a direct sequel after so long. I feel like the longer it's been since the last one came out, the more different the sequel needs to be, or I don't know, the bigger risk you need to take with it.
Yeah.
And that's either going to pay off or it's not. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. I'd say fortunately for us, in the case of today's episode, it paid off. And we'll get to talking about that here in just a minute.
Yeah. Before we do,
okay,
I've got to give my example, because when I said that, I'm like, I can't think. So one sequel that I thought kind of went too far from the previous one. So we had Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1 was good. Spider-Man 2 is like in my opinion, one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Then you hit Spider-Man 3. And it's like they tried to throw too many villains in there, too much gimmicky stuff. Like I think Sam Raimi originally wanted to do a Sandman story.
Yeah.
But the studio was like, we need to have Venom, because everybody's wanting Venom. So they like forced him to write Sandman, Goblin, and Venom, and have the suit and everything that it does. So you've got too many things going on, too many stories, and it just pushes it way too far. It just didn't work. There's my example of the extreme difference.
And I think that's a case of too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
Like, you got too many people saying they know what's best for this franchise and ignoring what made the franchise great in the first place, and that is the direction of Sam Raimi, and ignoring whatever he's saying should be done and insisting on things being added in. And I think a lot of the problem with that, the early Spider-Man and even X-Men stuff, the stuff that Fox and Sony were doing early on, a lot of it came from like the rights issues that they also had. Like, there were certain things that they just couldn't do. There were certain things that they couldn't include, and that also like prevented the subsequent Marvel movies from doing things. And I mean, it all worked out in the end, but yeah, like, for sure, there were. I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and that's why we didn't get the fourth one. But ultimately, like, if they would have backed off, I think we would have ended up with. I think instead of ending up with one film that has two half-baked plots, we would have ended up with two films that have fully baked plots, and all that stuff would have been there. It would have just been spread across two movies that made $1 gajillion each. Yeah, and everybody would have been happy. But everybody had to get it in there first. So
yeah. But we got Tobey Maguire back later with, what was it, No Way Home?
No Way Home, that's right, yeah. Which I kind of wanted him to do that again. It was fun. I liked it. But, at the same time, I get it, like, you can't keep going back to the well. You gotta let him retire or whatever.
Too much of a good thing is something you don't want.
That's right. Yeah. Don't want a tummy ache from all that ice cream.
That's right.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute.
All right.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
All right, today we're talking, is this our first sequel? This might be our first sequel. Well, I think we did a sequel. I think we jumped to like the second of something before. No, we did Mario 3. But we never did Mario 1. So this is the first time I think we've gone back and done a sequel of something.
Yeah.
And today we're talking Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. It was released in 2001, November 11th, I believe, was the release date. My mouse will not scroll to my notes. There it is. November 14th, 2001 was the release day. And Metal Gear Solid 2, that's what we're talking about. This was this game, well, it came out at at a very unfortunate time. As we all know, September 11th, 2001 happened just 2 months prior to this game coming out. They were full in promo mode with this movie, and there's a scene at the end where a ship crashes into the Federal Building in New York City, and they had a lot of promo stuff around that. And they kind of had to scrap some of that, and change some things, and scramble with it after the events of 9/11. And they almost canceled this game. This game almost did not come out because of that. Like, just completely, they were going to completely scrap it and start from fresh.
Wow, I did not realize that.
But luckily, they went forward with I think Hideo Konami was going to step down from his role over this. Like he was feeling ashamed and all this about it, and was talking about stepping down because of what all the implications and everything around this. And fortunately, he didn't. He stuck around, and they went ahead and released it, and nobody panicked, nobody freaked out, and it worked out really well. I don't think the events in the game necessarily coincide too heavily. I think it was more concerned about the imagery around a ship crashing in New York with everything, with the 9/11 and all that. So yeah, they released it on schedule, no delays or anything. And this ended up being, I think I looked it up the other day, and this was the highest grossing Metal Gear game ever.
Wow.
Close to,
Like, still?
Yeah. I think because it was like, I want to say it was like 97 million for this one, and the second closest one was like 95 or 96 million,
Okay.
and that was I think that was 5, Metal Gear 5 or 4, whatever came out after Snake Eater, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Force, Guns and Patriots.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
I think that was the one.
That was good.
Yeah. Which I haven't played past this one. This was the last one I played.
Oh, yeah.
I did
Yeah.
play, I take that back. I played a little bit of, what was that free one they had on Xbox for a while? Phantom Pain or something like that?
Yeah, so they had a free, like, prelude into Phantom Pain.
Yeah, so that I played.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that went on for a free game. That went on for a good while.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
In
You
my
had the
research,
whole island or something, I think, to play
Yeah.
on. Or,
yeah. And so whenever I was looking up on this one as well, speaking of free to play, I came across, apparently you could get a free demo of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1 from Pizza Hut at the time that it came out. Like, Pizza Hut had demo discs that they were sending out with pizzas, and Metal Gear Solid.
Everybody had demo discs back then.
Back in the day, yeah, the demo discs were everywhere. And it was a substantial preview, apparently. Like, it was the entire first, like, section until you go into the building.
Okay.
So, like, from where you come up out of the water all the way to, like, you go up the elevator, you do all that, you do the whole, like, searchlight thing, and then you go into the first vents, and that's where I think it ended. But, yeah, like, they used to give good previews on games. I remember there were a couple of games that, like, for the PC that you could get the demo disc for, and if you went into the background, you could, like, unlock basically the whole game.
Really?
If you just went in and changed a couple lines of code, yeah. And
Yeah, I mean, I know that's kind of how it is. I mean, so I know now if you download a demo, which they don't, there's not a lot of companies that release demos for their games.
they do trials now.
Yeah. So there was one that I played. It was Lies of P, and it's just like last year or something. I played the demo, I downloaded it, I played it, really enjoyed it, and then they got to the point. It's like, well, that's the end of the demo. Do you want to buy it? Sure, I bought it, and like, it basically just like unlocked the unlocked the paywall.
Yep.
And then, like, apparently I'd already downloaded the entire game, but there was just like a paywall there that was in place until I,
Unlock the rest
spent
of
the
it.
money. Yeah, so it's just funny how that is. Like,
Yeah.
they're basically just giving you the whole game, but you've
Just gotta have the key to unlock the rest of it.
yeah.
Yeah. But, so, back to our subject at hand, Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah, that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So this game is, I gotta say, the first time I played it, you play that first level on the tanker as Snake. It's great. And then it ends, and suddenly you're a different character. And you play the
me for a
rest
loop.
of the game as Raiden.
So I had not. This was one of the Metal Gear Solids I had not ever played.
Yeah, I didn't warn you.
Yeah, no, you didn't. You didn't give me any indication. And like I finished MGS1 and I go on to 2 and I'm like, "Oh, sweet. I've got Snake. Otacon's in my ear. I miss Mei Ling a little bit."
She's
still
there.
going to say she's there?
She's there. If you bug Otacon enough, she'll pipe in.
Really?
Yeah. They don't show her face. She's got like a static face for whatever reason. But
yeah.
I think in the way, like, because I didn't do it myself, but I saw some videos of it on YouTube, and so like I think you keep pinging him and talking to him, and he'll keep giving you like all these proverbs, and he starts getting them wrong, and so she'll start chiming in and be like, no, it's I gave you
great.
notes, and it's this, and I wrote it down here, and they kind of have like a lover spat, so I think they're together.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I miss Mei Ling. I didn't see that. But yeah, I always missed her little proverbs and everything from, the original, and not having that in this one was something that I wish I would have had. I mean, you kind of get that with Raiden's girl, Rose, but it's not.
No.
I feel like Rose is more like, it's almost like you just want to start playing like some Midwest emo while they're like talking, because they're
It's just like their girlfriend and boyfriend. It's, I could have done without that.
Yeah.
there was too much of that.
I would get to the point when they were talking, it's like, I just want to save my game. And I would just start hitting X just to get through the conversation.
Yeah,
I would listen to everybody else's conversation, but I wasn't listening to that with Rose.
Every time I'd save the game, I would skip the conversation. Because I'm like, I'm just saving my game. This is clearly not anything important to what's happening in the game. I'm just going to skip over this. Yeah, it was the same way. Because, she would go on. Every time I go in to I saved the game twice in the beginning. And then I never saved it again because I'm playing on the Switch, so I could just turn off the screen and then turn it back on. I'm the only one playing it, so it's basically a save state. And the only time I'd save it after that is whenever she'd say, "Do you want to save your game?" And I'd be like, "Okay, fine, we're here. I'll save it."
We know something's coming.
Yeah,
up
something's happening. I should go ahead and save it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I only force saved it a couple times. But just because of that, because I was. Like there was one time where I hadn't been on it for I hadn't played it for a couple weeks, and so coming back in, it's like, do you want to do updates? And I'm like, no. So I'm like, okay, I need to go in and I need to save. So I go in and I do my save, and I'm like, okay, I want to go in and do the save real quick, and then I'll run the updates and I'll come back into the game. And I go in to save, and she starts going into this long story, and I'm like, just get to the point. Let's be done.
Why don't you ever talk to me when we're in bed? It's like Jack Raiden is like, because I'm tired, or whatever.
I'm in the middle of a mission here.
Like, what is this? Yeah, I don't know. It's
But this, I think that's my only gripe with this whole game is there is entirely too much exposition throughout the whole game. It got to the point it was driving me crazy.
Yes, there is. I've got a couple gripes with this game. I'm not saying that I didn't like it, but we can get into those here in a little bit. But the exposition. Like, I remember listening to, I think it was Rebel FM. They were a gaming podcast back in like the mid 2000s, and they would always, I didn't get it because I never played this game, but if I remember right, they would always like refer to this game when they were talking about games giving too much exposition. And they even had like a little running joke where they'd be like, exposition. And I don't know, it was funny at the time, and
now it makes sense.
Now it makes complete sense. But yeah. But yeah, playing as Raiden, like that threw me for a complete loop.
It's a little weird.
Because I'm like, am I going to get to play as Snake again?
Can I just be Snake again?
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been an option after you beat the game to come back and play it again as Snake. And play his part of the storyline.
Oh, yeah. That would be
Which
cool.
would have been awesome, because it's all there. Yeah. Like, you've got the character there. You've already got the levels all there. You know, you just release Snake and you could have like a whole second half of the game. I feel like if this game was released today, that would be DLC.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Yep. Yeah,
That would
absolutely
100% be DLC. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
I feel like
They wouldn't
missed
be
on
leaving that on the table.
No, no.
No. Uh-uh.
Yeah, I don't like that you only play as Raiden after
Yeah.
that certain. Like, I'd say for 90% of the game. That one kind of bugged me for sure. But, I mean, he's an okay character. He's just kind of whiny. I gotta say.
Oh,
He's a little whiny.
Oh. Oh, he's terribly whiny. That was one of my gripes. I mean, I mean, I don't know. He just reminded me of just a angsty
Yes.
emo kid.
Yeah, very for the time, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Now,
you gotta keep in mind, this is like post Matrix. We're about to have like the whole
Yeah.
like the 2 sequels to the Matrix coming out. So this game fits right in with that aesthetic, and like
Yeah.
the soundtrack very much like I was listening to the little bit of soundtrack that's playing, and I'm like, this is very much of the time. This reminds me
Yeah.
of like the Matrix and emo and like techno and all that stuff that was out in like the early, like in 2000, 2001. This is 100% that. This is very much so a product of the time. I would agree.
Yeah. Now, I would like to play. I never did get to play it. I can't find it to download anywhere. I'm just going to have to buy a copy for my 360 or something. But they did come out with a game called Metal Gear Rising, and you're playing as Raiden,
Yeah.
and you've got like your katana and all that, and he's like all messed up looking. But
Yeah.
like part cyborg or something like
Yeah.
that. But I do want to go back and play that and just kind of see how that character evolved from 2 to
Yeah, I was
Rising.
curious because I haven't played any of the ones after this. If he comes back up at any point, because I know like Otacon comes back with Snake and everything.
I want to say he's in Guns and Patriots, but it has been probably 15 years plus since I played that game, because I bought that when that one came out. That's when I bought my PS3 because it came packaged with Guns and Patriots when it first released. So, but I think he's in that one.
Okay.
But he wouldn't be in 3 because I know 3 is a prequel where you're playing as like Big Boss back in the 60s.
Oh, you're not Snake in 3?
No, you're Big Boss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another game where you don't get to play as Snake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it put you on
But
a
you do
tanker
get to
for
play
a
as
half hour?
Snake in 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll just skip to 4. I don't know. Yeah. I got 3 on my what is it? The Metal Gear collection. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll play 3. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was all for it, but now I might be.
Oh no. 3. I mean, I've not played 3 either.
Okay.
I've played now 1 and 2, 4, and then I've played the Phantom Pain.
Okay.
I've heard 3 is really, really good. So we'll have
That's
to
what I've
maybe
heard,
come back
yeah.
and do 3 at some point. Yeah.
I heard they have some good mechanics and stuff in it.
Yeah.
They iterated on. That's one of those they iterated and it worked type of things.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, this was a good game. I enjoyed it. I don't feel like the bosses were as good though.
No.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird. I'm gonna harp on how much on the things that I didn't like about this game. But really overall, like the gameplay's good. It's solid. I think it's my expectations coming off of the last one into this one where I'm a little let down because like I said, you don't get to play as Snake. The bosses aren't as interesting. In fact, can we talk about the vampire guy? Like, come on.
Oh, Vamp, yeah.
Oh my god, he was worse than Raiden. He was driving me
What
crazy.
is this? What is this?
Yes, it's so ridiculous.
Just die.
Yes.
Like, how many times do I have to kill you?
Yes.
And then I don't understand how you do all this stuff to him.
He gets shot in
And
the
then
head.
he finally
Center
dies.
mass.
Like, yes. But he finally dies. Where does he? He finally dies when you're in that sniper section.
Yeah, the cross
Snake.
with EE and everything.
Yeah. And I'm like, but I didn't do anything different to him here
No,
than I've done in anything else. Like, how did he finally die? I don't
I don't either. I don't get it.
You would have thought like the pool with like the nanobots or whatever that he fell down in. I don't know.
That could
I don't
have
know.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they explain Fortune and why, like, you know, the bullets go around her and everything, and how, like, you know, it doesn't work in the end. And that all made sense. That felt grounded. He was the only character that just didn't feel like he could be tethered or grounded. Like, he kind of flew and or hovered a lot. Like, he swam like an electric fish, like crazy fast.
Weird.
He was like Aquaman and Superman and like all these, you know, but a vampire. It was, I don't know. Yeah, he just didn't fit. He felt off. It was weird.
Yeah.
And it was his character. Well, I mean, so they talk about it towards the end of the game about how this game is actually what you're playing through is set up as a simulation training exercise for Metal Gear or a Solid Snake program to develop soldiers like Snake based off of the Metal Gear Solid mission. What do they call it? Shadow Moses mission and all that. Which, okay, so here's one thing. The first time I should say the memories I have of playing this game, I remembered it as the entire thing took place in a simulation, like a VR simulation, which is not the case. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's the way I took it.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing's a VR simulation.
Okay, so I played it this time through and interpreted it as, okay, so they staged everything in real life, and it all happened, but it's all staged, is what I took away from it.
I took it as it's a whole VR simulation. As the game nears its end, the simulation starts breaking down.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it really got me, like, when I first realized something strange is afoot here. Yeah, and then it was like the mission failed or whatever was coming up on the screen.
But it didn't. But it was all like in like the words were scrambled or something. It was like all off. Yeah.
And then Snake is like, he points to his headband. He's like, infinite ammo, you know, or whatever. I'm like, this is like either really taking me out of the immersion, or this is intentional for some reason.
Yeah.
And what was the deal with running around without any clothes on?
I know.
Where's he storing everything that he's picking up? That's what I wanted to know.
He had a couple rations on him.
Yeah, he did.
And some Band-Aids.
I don't think I want to eat those rations.
Maybe wear the Band-Aids. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a first aid kit. You got some gauze. You can fashion some tidy whities or something, right?
Just cupping himself as he's running around.
And then flipping.
Yeah. What is this?
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. I think that's the best way you can describe this game. Is this
weird.
game is just weird. Like, Metal Gear Solid 1 is such a serious, like, driven story with commentary on war and, you know, and everything. And this one is fun to play, but it is weird. It is just so weird.
Now, on their message, I will say, watching like the scenes at the end and everything, the message was very ahead of its time, it felt like. Talking about how, as a society, we're getting lost in information, and there's so much digital junk that's just starting to accumulate, and we're all getting lost in it, and you know, kind of. I don't think they said anything about social media directly, but what they were talking about ended up kind of becoming social media.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really interesting. But at the same time, they're also trying to sound really poetic, and it's just coming off like high school literature, and it was weird. It was just like, it was like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, but you kind of sound like a high school English teacher, and it's that's trying to sound really cool, and it's just really it's cringy, for lack of a better term. For sure. But there was but the footage of New York was pretty cool. Like, that was really good. Like, I like whenever they do that and they integrate all the footage within everything. That was pretty neat. Arsonal was kind of a cool idea. I feel like I on one hand, I really liked it as a Metal Gear Ray to go up against. On the other hand, I found the battle to be tedious and repetitive. I feel like they could have done better with it.
Yes.
Because it's just these 3 Metal Gear Rays, and you're taking them down with the stinger. You don't have to do chaff grenade. It doesn't feel like chaff grenades do anything to it, even though at one point I think one of the characters comes on and like is like, hey, you can use chaff grenades to distract it or whatever. And I tried doing that a couple times, and it didn't make any difference. It still fired missiles. It still shot at me. It still did all the same stuff. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a waste. And it's constantly like throwing stingers on the ground. And every time I used up all my rations, another ration would appear. So it was like,
there was not really a lot of.
Yeah, there was not really. Yeah, I'm not in danger of anything. Like with the last one, whenever you get to that final battle, it's just you versus him. And if you run out of health, you run out of health. Like, you don't have anything else on you. And so that was kind of like, it was. I really liked the Ray, but I feel like they didn't use it to its fullest potential. And then, like, every time you took one down, another one would come on, and eventually you're just kind of like, okay, how many these things do I got to take down?
Yeah.
And
they just kept coming.
Yeah, they kept coming. And then, I talked to you about it, and I had the same realization as you were writing me. Just take down the one in the middle. Just keep taking down the one in the middle. The other ones, they don't really do anything. So really, it's just you versus the one in the middle. And then once I started doing that, it was just like they went so quick. Like, I did that the next time I played, and I did it on the first try. It was so, and I got into the rhythm, and I was like, I could do this all day long. I was like Captain America. I could be here all day.
And you might be with that fight.
You might be. I was reading up on it. I think if you do like the extreme version of it or something like that, it's like you go for like 20 of them or something like that. It's crazy. Which, whenever I beat it and I went back into the load screen to start it up again, there was an option for the difficulty levels. You have like easy and medium and regular and then hard. And then there was like hard Europe. Did you see hard Europe?
What's that?
So there's like a European hard. And that one is, if you get spotted, it's instant game over.
Oh, shoot. Wow.
Yeah. So
why is it like, European hard? I
don't know. I just thought that was funny.
That's weird. Yeah.
But yeah, so there was I don't know if that unlocked or if that was in there to begin with.
I didn't see it, but yeah, I don't know. That was a thing. Like, you had said it before, like the boss fights in this game were not on the same level as the original Metal Gear Solid. I didn't think.
Fat Man was probably the best one.
Yeah. But there just really wasn't a whole lot of boss fights in this game. Like, you fight Vamp like 3 times.
Yes.
And that's easily like the worst, I feel like, boss, because you're just like, gosh. But yeah, there just isn't. I think that's what you fight Vamp. You fight Fat Man.
I don't think you go against Revolver. Ocelot.
You don't go against.
Not really.
You don't go against Ocelot. And you at the end, but that's not even really doing much.
It's not really a battle.
Yeah.
You end up going against Solidus.
Yeah.
Solidus wasn't bad, but it was kind of, once you figured out the pattern, it was easy.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the case on all these bosses is they had a really basic pattern, and once you figured out the pattern, you could just do it all day long, and it just became tedious and repetitive.
Yeah.
Like, and then I feel like with the last one, all the bosses, for the most part, like except for maybe Sniper Wolf, you could take him down a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could kind of mix up the weapons you use. You didn't. There were some weapons that were better than others, but like sometimes you'd run out of weapons and you'd have to use something else.
Yep.
But they didn't have that here. Here it was very much so like, okay, we're giving you this thing for this task.
And this is what you have to do.
Yeah, and then that's about it. Like, and then you won't really ever use it again.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. I think, and the other, I'm going to air my grievances with this game real quick before I get into anything else that I enjoyed about it. But the other thing that I didn't like was, until you really get the hang of how the game wants you to play, like, I kept getting caught.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you get caught, I felt like there was no escape. It's like the guys just keep coming. Yeah. They keep coming. So anytime I would get caught, I would just have to let myself get killed and reload, because otherwise you have to go, like, it's a flaw in the remaster. You have to go all the way back to the main menu of, like, the full title screen where it gives you all the options for the games, then go back into the Metal Gear Solid 2, then reload it. That was the only way I could reload it manually. Otherwise, I would just have to let myself get shot and killed, and then it would ask me to restart at the last checkpoint. And for a while, that I was getting irritated with this game. I was like, gosh darn, like, can I not get anywhere without somebody spotting me?
Yeah.
Until I realized, like, there's certain things I can do to sneak around the guards, and once I got better at doing that, I breezed through it. But there was that. The swimming controls I thought needed to be inverted, and that's just personal preference.
Here's my problem with that. He can swim there, but if you fall off the edge of the tanker, you die.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't swim there? I don't understand.
Yeah, right, yep. Yeah.
I felt like that, like, they should have had it to where, like, if you fall off the edge, fine. Like, maybe it takes off some of your health because it's a heavy hit.
Yeah.
And then he's got to climb back up.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
But dies?
Yeah.
That's...
Jack?
Yeah.
Jack?
He can't swim.
Jack! Talk to me! That was the worst part. You died, you had to hear Rose talk again.
Yes. Rose may be the worst video game girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was thinking, who is the most annoying character? Is it Rose? Or is it, like, I have a note here, the tragedies of Hal Emmerich? Because he's always... every game he's crying. You know,
he's got a sad story.
Oh, his sister dies.
Yeah.
Oh, Emma!
Oh my God, that was Jesus.
It's like, gosh darn it.
Like, I get
and then
it.
when Emma won't follow you, I'm like, why doesn't Raiden just have Otacon calm in to Emma and tell her, like, hey, yeah, he's with me.
Right.
You know,
we're cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah, that was yeah, there was a lot of whining. And talking about Rose again, like, I feel like they were trying to put in too much romance into this game, and they were trying to make it like he's like 007, and it just came off like a really bad jewelry commercial or something. It was just awful. It just felt, I mean, I wanted to say Hallmark movie, but the Hallmark movie was better.
Oh man. Really wow, that's great. Yeah, I felt like this was like you were saying earlier, it was like the romance on this was like a 14-year-old boy was writing this romance.
And he's got Rose, his girlfriend, like serious girlfriend or whatever, in his ear. And then he's kind of chatting up what's his name's sister?
Emma?
Yeah. It was that was a little weird.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like she talked about Otacon like maybe she kind of had feelings for him because they weren't like they were adopted brothers and sisters or something. Like,
she's like, I've always aspired to be like. That's why I wear my glasses.
Yeah.
Because somebody I really admired once wore glasses.
I was like Otacon? We can say it, but it's weird.
Like, who wrote this?
It's getting a little creepy. And then Otacon's got that whole weird story about his relationship with his stepmom. Like he hooked up with his stepmom or something.
Oh, that was weird. Oh, I'm like, and you look at that, and you're like,
What?
this guy? Like this guy?
This is the guy?
Like, what is it? Like, there's no way this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
I'd forgotten about that.
It got weird. It got really weird.
Strange. It's so strange. It's just outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, some of the writing in this game.
And I think Ryan was crushing on Emma a little too.
I think so.
It's really weird. I think they had too many writers or something.
I don't know. It's like any romance needs taken out.
Yes.
Of this, like, because it's pretty bad in the first Metal Gear Solid.
I mean,
too.
they can
Like,
be romantically involved with other characters. That's fine, but we don't need. It doesn't need to be part of the storyline.
no,
Like it
no.
can be the definition of their relationship to establish stakes. But like let's leave it out. Like we don't need to escalate the relationship during this game. We're in the middle of trying to save the world here.
I know this is like about like war and trying to keep the Russians from launching nukes, and you've got this jackass over here that's like talking about how he hooked up with his stepmom. Like, what is this? And he's crying about it.
He's crying about his sister. It's so weird. I don't know, yeah. Anyways, it was just like the whole thing was...
Somebody's gonna like turn this episode on like right in the middle of it. Like, what is this that they're talking about? We don't even know. Like, ask
it was so
Hideo
weird.
Kojima. Like, what are you writing here?
Maybe that's what maybe there was like some translation issue. Maybe it's like a cultural thing. I don't know. I don't read anime, so I don't know if maybe like this is how relationships work. I don't know. It was weird. It was
Well,
just
and
so weird.
I wonder like from a serious question, like, is it, like you're saying, a cultural thing? Like, is that how, this means no disrespect to anybody, but is that how Japanese culture views Americans? So like they're writing this because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese man or team. I'm sure Kojima had some help with the writing
An American
for
story.
an American character, an American story. So I don't know. That could be it.
Very much so. Could be. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
But it sure makes for a good laugh.
So I look back at my total run on the game, 15 hours and 36 minutes.
Wow.
Do you happen to clock yours?
It was a little over 12.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know I spent a good amount of time in the beginning just running circles. Like,
yeah. It
think
doesn't
I
really
was-
give you a lot of they tell you like go to strut F, or whatever, and you're like, okay, but yeah.
And I think a lot of it was I was remembering things and trying to do the things as I remembered them as opposed to going with the story.
Yeah.
And I would remember things out of order. Like, oh, I need to go do this thing. Oh, wait, actually, I need to go back and do this other thing first. So the first, I'd say, like 10 hours of gameplay was just a lot of just running around and like doing extra things that I didn't need to do or whatever. And then I completely forgot about dog tags until after the game was over. Like, you can shake down the enemies and collect dog tags throughout the whole game.
That's right. I didn't even
And
think
that
about
unlocks like your infinite ammo, and you get the invisibility cloak and all these other things, which I had completely forgotten about. And the when I first played this originally, I went back through and shook down, which I collected a few of them as I played it the first time, and I unlocked whatever the first one was. I think it was like the infinite ammo one or something like that. And I went back and played it again and collected enough to get the invisibility one, which is a lot of fun to play with because you can, you don't have to worry about being spotted. You can walk around.
Yeah.
For sure. And that makes that changes the game a little bit as far as like replayability, I think. And things like that. Like I really like in games like this, like they think ahead and they're like, okay, you know, if you want to come back and play this again, there's a little reward in it for you. Like we'll give you a little something for your effort. And then like there's some crumbs, and if you follow the crumbs, you'll get a little bit more and you can play it again. And so I think I might go back and unlock the invisibility thing and see if I can do European hard with invisibility mode.
Yeah.
That's probably the only way to do it.
Sure. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had fun with it.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, it was a fun game, and yeah, we're ragging on it a little bit, but like really, it is fun. I really liked that you could look down the iron sights on the weapon. That was a nice improvement. I just wish you could move while you were doing that because I felt
you're
like
locked into position.
I would aim down, and then especially like there's one fight with Vamp when you're in that room with like that pool in the middle.
Yeah.
And you kind of gonna aim to hit him, but if he hits you, it takes you out of that aim.
Yep.
Like back to third person, and then you've got to. So I wish you could have like at least strafed or something while you were doing that. And I don't know, maybe they fix that in 3.
Hopefully,
I haven't played through 3.
That little battle with Vamp in that section with the water, that's where you come back up with E. As like you guys swim from one area to the other, and he's able to swim through that water, and he comes back up. I kept falling in the water, fighting Vamp and dying, and then I get to that part, and he's sitting on the edge of the water, and I'm like, you couldn't have swam back to shore,
Right?
You had to drown every time.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah. You remember that part when you were in that room with the president? It's like the boiler room or something. It's just
it was like a meeting room or something. So there was like a stage, and it's like an assembly room or something.
No, I think
whenever you're talking to him,
to the actual president, like you're actually in there with him, because there's the other room where there's like Revolver Ocelot and like all this stuff, and there's a bunch of different people.
You're in disguise and all that.
You had to like listen to the heartbeat or whatever. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But there was one where like you're in the room with the president, and it's where the president dies at.
Yeah.
But like, what was with the president like grabbing Raiden's crotch?
What?
In that, did you not see that?
No, I didn't.
It's like he's talking to him, and I don't even remember like why I don't know why he does it, but like it shows him like grabbing down there, and I'm like he pulls him close. I don't know if he's like trying to, like, I don't know. I have a note of it because I remember watching it, and I've like immediately went to my phone and like, what is up with this?
No.
Yeah.
I remember the conversation with the president, but and I think I was looking at my phone taking notes as well.
Okay.
And I'm listening to the conversation because I'm like, I don't need to be here for this.
Yeah.
And I think the president, or I think Raiden said something like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's right before that. What are you doing?
And I kind of looked up and I was like, all right, I missed it, but okay.
Yeah.
And I just
don't
thought
know,
it was,
like,
it was weird, but I missed it.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird, all right.
Again, it was weird.
It was weird. If you take anything, listener, from this episode, this game is bizarre. It is a bizarre game.
I think we have our title, Metal Gear Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, it was I had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah.
There was some parts where I would get frustrated with it, but that was just it was me learning the game mechanics. And again, this is a 23-year-old game.
Oh yeah, hell,
20,
great.
well, almost 24 years now. And some of it is just like you were saying, like in an earlier episode we did. It's like when you play these older games, you kind of have to regress a little bit with how you're trained to play now. Because I think that games now, as much as I love games that come out now, I mean, there's always new games every year I like to play, but they do hold your hand a lot more.
Yeah,
than
and
they
pretty much
used to.
all first persons operate the same way. Like your right finger is your trigger, your left finger is maybe an auxiliary weapon. You know, the thumbsticks move you in the same way. You know, they all kind of operate in the same way.
Yep.
Especially like a first person or third person view, you're going to operate pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
Across the board. It's just standard now. Which, I mean, it works. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It works for sure. But yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. There's one other little gripe I got with it. Why is it that, and I get it, like whenever they're trying to be secretive, but there were some times where two people would be standing right in front of each other and then they would go to comms to have a conversation. Why? Why are we doing this?
I don't know. Like, just show me the video of them talking.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sit through another 40-minute video if you want to give me all this dialogue.
Right.
It's more interesting watching people walk around than just seeing their heads move.
Yeah.
You know, on the comms. And that was one thing. I missed the animations from Metal Gear 1 on the comms.
I was going to ask about that because I thought it was funny during Metal Gear 1. You were like, I like the comms things, but I just kind of wish they were animated so that they talked like that. And then here, they're fully animated and they're talking. And you're like, you know, I kind of miss Metal Gear 1.
Yeah. It's one of those, well, you know, it's one of those things. Like, you ask for something and then you see it and you're like, okay, I don't like that as much as I thought I would.
Well, that didn't work. We're going to go back.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the hand drawn characters as opposed to like a 3D rendering of them on the comms.
Especially like a whiny Jack.
Yeah.
I don't need to see him being emo as well as listen to him being emo.
I mean, just imagine like a drawing of him and he's got like the swoop hair over his face, you know, and
like the cover of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave it to us there. But yeah. All right. Any final closing thoughts on the game?
I think I've said my piece with this one. Play it, seriously. If you haven't played it, play this game.
It was a little weird. A lot of fun.
You need to play it. If you like the first one, you'll like this one. It's just, it's different, but the same, I guess.
They took a swing. They took a swing. They went out on a ledge. They did something different, for sure. You did get to play a snake for a little bit.
You did? Yep. Now, I will say, be prepared. Well, we've said it earlier. Be prepared for a lot of exposition. Like, there's exposition in Metal Gear 1, but
there's a lot in this one. I think it was at least half my gameplay was just sitting there watching a video.
Was. And that last video is like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
But if we ever get to Metal Gear 4, Guns and Patriots, I think that holds the world record for longest
cutscene.
It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh man. Yeah, I know. I was sitting through the last cutscene the cutscene right after defeating Arsonal, but before the Solidus battle, and I had about 20 minutes before I had to go out and do something. And I'm watching the cutscene. I'm like, okay, come on, get with it, so I can pause the game properly, save it, and walk away. And then finally, I ran out of time, and I was like, I just got to stop right here. So I just turned off the switch and walked out, and I came back, turned it back on, picked right up where I was, which is nice. I appreciate that. Couldn't have done that back in the day, but I just wish there was a way to pause cutscenes like that. And I mean, there was for this particular instance, but back then there wasn't. No. And I was late to work a couple times because of this game, I must say. I mean, I was not. I was it my dog that got in an accident, or maybe it was me. I don't remember.
My dog riding. He was just
having a bad day.
Yeah, he was
a little emo. The music, like I said, was of the time, very techno, kind of reminded me of The Matrix, or Blade, maybe. But then it was really funny because right at the end, they're doing like the talk with Snake and Raiden, and they kind of do like this, like for the credit scene, this footage of New York City in like 2000, 2001, and they're doing like this whole like slow jazz thing throughout it, and I'm like, well, this is different. This is not the tone we had throughout the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it worked. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Did you know one more little quick thing? In the
Oh, yeah.
beginning, whenever you first start as Raiden, you can find an electric razor and add it to your inventory. And then whenever you meet Snake, you give it to him, and he shaves the next time you see him.
Kidding me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which I thought that was interesting. I didn't do it, but I
Yeah.
read about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that little. There's that little, because I did it the first time I played it, and because we had, was it not Game Informer, one of those gaming magazines back in the day, and they did like a full breakdown on all the Easter eggs, and so I went back through and played it again on all these little Easter eggs,
Yeah.
and but yeah, they had a little fun, but yeah. So if you play it again, shake down all the guards, get all the dog tags. I think there's like 70 something of them.
Yeah.
It depends on what your difficulty level is. Get the little razor, give that to Solid to Snake at the beginning, and yeah, have fun with it. Definitely.
Is that in the room where like, I think it was Vamp that just murdered everybody, and you go in there where you first meet Snake, but he doesn't know he's Snake yet?
I think it's. I'm trying to remember.
Well, I mean,
think
like
it's in one of the lockers.
not where not where the razor's at, but where is that where you give it to Snake?
Yeah, when you first have the conversation with him.
So there's like these dead bodies all around, and he's just like, oh.
Well, he just
cut
gives it
his
to him,
beard.
and then like he leaves, and then the next time you see him, he's clean shaven.
Oh,
He
okay.
uses it or whatever. And
Okay,
he says like, "Yeah,
okay.
thanks for the razor" or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it adds a little extra dialogue.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of little points in there where like if you do these little things, it kind of changes the dialogue a little bit. Or
Huh.
if you constantly calm some people, like there's the birds. If you shoot a bunch of birds, you'll upset Rose. And if
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
and if you do it enough, she won't let you save your game.
No way.
Yeah. And so like you kind of get to this point and like you have an option to not save or I won't let you save. And so like if you select the I won't let you save or whatever, you're like you talk to her for a minute and you're like it's something like, what's wrong? Why can't I save my game? Rose, I want to save my game, and she's just
Yeah.
giving him like the cold shoulder and he's like, "What? So now you're not going to talk to me?" And eventually you get to like where he apologizes for it. He's like, "Okay, fine. I'm sorry." And he kind of does it in like he's being a jerk about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really mean it. And then she'll let you save. But yeah, like
Wow.
but,
That's so funny.
yeah. So there's
good.
lots of little fun
That's
little Easter
good.
eggs like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
But all right, I think that wraps me up for Metal Gear. You want to give us our do we have any
Yeah. Comments.
comments? Yeah, I thought so. We had a few come in,
We
didn't
do.
we?
Yeah. So this one was from our our New Year's Eve episode that we did, our retro rewind, and I remember we couldn't figure out you must unlearn what you have learned. Like we couldn't figure where
Where
that
it
come
came
from.
from, yeah.
Yeah. Our resident number one fan, Will Ford 81, said, "You must unlearn what you've learned." Yoda to Luke and The Empire Strikes Back. Thank you,
yes.
Will.
Yes.
Thank you. Why did I not remember that? I have no idea.
Because we haven't done Star Wars yet.
That's right. That's right. I've watched Star Wars so many times. Like I don't know why I couldn't remember that. That's how my brain works. Like I'm a parent now. I don't get enough sleep. I work a full-time job, and I can't remember a lot of things.
There's only so much room.
That's what's going on. That's what's going on. The other one we have was from our Quick and the Dead episode that we
right.
did. Panther U comments, "The Quick and the Dead is best not taken seriously. Just enjoy the fun. Could not agree with you more.
Yeah.
You just can't take that movie for... you just have to take it at face value for what it is. And just enjoy the ride with it. So
We did have another one come in 2 days ago.
2 days
That
ago,
one too?
guess I didn't see it.
You did not
Go
see
right
it?
ahead.
All right. Will Ford on our Retro Rewind from this week or whenever it came out. This week while we're recording, it's probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago for you if you're listening. Anyways, he says, referring to, I think, our cold open or icebreaker question, which was like, I think it was something, what was your icebreaker? Something along the lines of like, what's something...
favorite movie that we'd watched.
Yes.
That
First
in
thing this
2024.
year. Yeah. And he says, I think my favorite movie of 2024 is Godzilla -1. This was by far the best Godzilla movie I've seen. This movie avoids the misunderstood monsters, humans are the real villains tropes that you come to expect from these kinds of movies. Instead, the film focuses on how to defeat a seemingly unstoppable threat, all while presenting a simple story about a couple that you end up actually caring about. Godzilla and his destruction looks incredible. The movie is good. You won't care that it's dubbed. Netflix also released a black and white version that I'm looking forward to watching.
Really?
If you haven't seen this movie yet, do yourself a favor and watch it. My honorable mentions go to The Fall Guy, which feels like a throwback to when movies were fun. Happy New Year's, guys. I'm looking forward to more great episodes. I gotta agree. The Fall Guy was a great movie. I really enjoyed that, and I think I might change my answer to Fall Guy. I had a lot of fun with that one. That was a lot of fun.
I need to watch that one. I know that one exists, but I haven't really looked too much into it. So I'll check out The Fall Guy. And then Godzilla -1, that is on my Netflix watch list.
All right.
Will, I just have not watched it yet. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I look forward to watching it.
Yeah. That's all I got. So you got us a new question for Icebreaker?
Yeah, here's our icebreaker for next week. Right. So, I always have like kind of long drawn out ones, usually. Sometimes, maybe once in a while. Sometimes I just have bad ones. Anyway, it's an icebreaker question. So, you're forced to be placed into a horror movie, right? Like, you have no choice in the matter. You are forced to be placed into a horror movie.
Okay.
If you die in the horror movie, you die in real life. If you live in the horror movie, then when it's done, you get to go back to your regular life and live it out. The one thing that you get, the only choice you get, I guess, in this whole matter, is you get to choose which horror movie that you think you can be in and survive.
All right. Is this... Okay. So is there a reward for making it to the end?
But you get to live.
But, okay, so I'm being forced to make this decision.
Forced
that right
to
there
make
is
this
the horror
decision.
Movie.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. I mean,
This is a Saw movie that leads into another horror movie.
My personal thing, if it wasn't a movie, would be that I'm forced to go to the ballot box again. But... But, no, seriously. So you get to pick the movie. Someone's like, hey, we're throwing you into a movie. It's a horror movie. You live or die. If you die, you're dead. If you live, you get to come back and finish out your life. But you get to pick the horror movie. Which horror movie do you think you could survive?
I'm going to find a loophole.
I know you will. You're always looking for loopholes in these. I think I've got a nice buttoned up question. And you're like, I don't know. What about like I don't know. You always find some sort of a loophole.
What about Groundhog Day? That'd make for a good horror movie, right?
That's a good horror movie. Yeah. What if in Robin Hood, instead of the sheriff of Nottingham being Alan Rickman, it's a dog with sharp
Cujo.
teeth? Yeah, it's Cujo. That's a horror movie now.
All right, I'll think about that.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, we look forward to talking to y'all next week. Remember, sharing is caring. Reviews help a lot. Please, if you can, we would love your reviews. I think Apple Podcasts, we talk about this every week, I think is the only one that has star reviews anymore. I don't know. Spotify might have
You
star
can leave
reviews.
stars, and you can leave
Stars.
comments on episodes.
Yes, and you can leave comments on episodes. Star reviews are great. Comments are great. Leave us comments.
You're watching us on YouTube, share it. Leave comments there.
Share,
YouTube,
subscribe.
that's a big one.
Subscribing helps us a lot.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. Until then, be kind and rewind. We thank you all for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
See y'all next week. We're going to keep coming.
This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.